The Strait of Hormuz, a narrow waterway nestled between Iran and the Arabian Peninsula, stands as a critical choke point in the global energy trade. This strategic passage is not just a geographical feature, but a lifeline for the world's energy supply. Through this narrow passage flows approximately 20% of the world's oil supply. This means that any disruption here could have immediate and severe consequences for global energy markets. Any disruption to this vital artery, such as a military conflict involving Iran, would send shockwaves through the global economy. The mere threat of conflict can cause market jitters, but an actual confrontation could be catastrophic. Oil prices would skyrocket, sending already fragile economies into a tailspin. The cost of energy is a fundamental driver of economic stability, and sudden spikes can lead to inflation and economic distress. The ripple effects would be felt far beyond the gas pump. Higher energy costs would permeate every aspect of daily life, from the cost of goods to the price of transportation. Industries reliant on oil and gas, from manufacturing to transportation, would face crippling costs. This would lead to higher production costs, which would then be passed on to consumers, exacerbating the economic strain. The interconnected nature of the global economy means that a recession in one region would quickly spread to others. The global supply chain is a delicate web, and disruptions in one part can have cascading effects worldwide. The potential for widespread economic hardship, particularly in developing nations heavily reliant on energy imports, is a sobering reality. These countries often lack the financial resilience to absorb such shocks, leading to severe social and economic consequences. The United States, despite its relative energy independence, would not be immune to the economic fallout. The interconnected nature of global markets means that no nation is an island in such scenarios. Higher energy prices would impact American consumers and businesses, potentially triggering a recession. The cost of living would rise, and businesses would face higher operational costs, leading to potential layoffs and reduced economic activity. The economic turmoil would also likely damage America's global standing, undermining its leadership role and emboldening its rivals. In a world where economic power translates to geopolitical influence, such a scenario could shift the balance of power. The economic consequences of a military confrontation with Iran, particularly one that shuts down the Strait of Hormuz, are simply too dire to ignore. The stakes are not just economic, but also geopolitical, with far-reaching implications for global stability. The potential for a global economic crisis, with far-reaching and long-lasting effects, must give any rational actor pause. The interconnected nature of our world means that such a crisis would not be contained, but would spread rapidly. The stakes are incredibly high, and the potential for unintended consequences is enormous. In such a high-stakes environment, diplomacy and careful management of international relations are crucial to prevent a disaster that could affect billions of lives. Iran's sheer size and geographical complexity present a formidable challenge to any military intervention. Spanning over 636,000 square miles, Iran is larger than the entire US state of Alaska. Its diverse terrain, ranging from towering mountain ranges to vast deserts, further complicates any military operation. The vast distances involved would require significant logistical planning and resources. Air bases in neighboring countries, some with questionable stability, would be crucial for staging and refueling. However, securing these bases and maintaining supply lines over such distances would be a logistical nightmare. Overflying hostile territories to reach key targets within Iran adds another layer of complexity. Iran's neighbors, including Iraq and Afghanistan, have their own security concerns and may be reluctant to grant overflight permission. Even if permission is granted, the risk of encountering hostile fire from anti-aircraft systems remains a constant threat. The geographical challenges posed by Iran's size and location are significant. Any military action would require meticulous planning, vast resources, and the acceptance of significant risks. The logistical complexities and potential for unforeseen complications make a military solution anything but straightforward. Iran's nuclear program, shrouded in secrecy and dispersed across the country, presents a complex targeting dilemma. Key facilities are buried deep underground, designed to withstand even the most powerful bunker-busting bombs. These hardened sites, often located in mountainous terrain, would require multiple strikes to ensure their destruction. Adding to the complexity, Iran has learned from past experiences, dispersing its facilities to minimize the impact of any attack. Centrifuges used for uranium enrichment, a key component of nuclear weapons development, are spread across various locations, making them difficult to target effectively. The intelligence required to pinpoint and confirm the location of these facilities is immense. Even with sophisticated surveillance capabilities, ensuring the accuracy of intelligence and minimizing civilian casualties would be a constant challenge. The risk of mistaken targets and unintended consequences is significant. Targeting Iran's nuclear program is not as simple as launching a few airstrikes. The combination of hardened underground facilities, dispersed locations, and the constant need for accurate intelligence makes it a highly complex and risky endeavor. The potential for failure with potentially disastrous consequences cannot be underestimated. Section 4. Asymmetric warfare, an unpredictable and devastating response. Asymmetric warfare is a strategy that has been employed by nations and groups who find themselves at a disadvantage in conventional military strength. It involves unconventional tactics and strategies designed to exploit the weaknesses of a more powerful adversary. Iran, acutely aware of the conventional military superiority of the United States, has developed a sophisticated asymmetric warfare doctrine. This doctrine is not just a theoretical concept, but a well-practiced strategy that Iran has been refining for decades. This strategy focuses on exploiting vulnerabilities and inflicting maximum damage without engaging in direct confrontation. By avoiding head-on battles, Iran aims to wear down its adversaries through a series of unpredictable and often devastating attacks. Iran's response to any attack would likely be swift, unpredictable, and devastating. The element of surprise is a crucial component of their strategy, making it difficult for opponents to prepare or respond effectively. One of Iran's most potent tools is its vast arsenal of ballistic and cruise missiles. These missiles are not only numerous but also highly advanced, capable of reaching distant targets with precision. These missiles, capable of striking targets throughout the Middle East, including US military bases and allies like Israel, could inflict significant damage and casualties. The sheer range and accuracy of these missiles make them a formidable threat to any adversary in the region. Iran could also target critical infrastructure like oil refineries and desalination plants, crippling essential services. Disrupting these facilities would have far-reaching consequences, affecting not just military operations but also civilian life and economic stability. Another key element of Iran's asymmetric response would be its network of proxies and allies throughout the region. These groups, which include well-trained and well-armed militias, can be mobilized quickly to carry out coordinated attacks. Groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon and Shia militias in Iraq could be activated to carry out attacks on US interests, further destabilizing the region and drawing the United States into a wider conflict. These proxy forces add another layer of complexity to Iran's asymmetric strategy, making it even more challenging to counter. Iran's asymmetric warfare capabilities pose a significant threat and would undoubtedly be unleashed in response to any US attack. The combination of missile strikes, proxy warfare, and attacks on critical infrastructure creates a multifaceted threat that is difficult to defend against. The potential for a wider regional conflict with devastating consequences for all involved is a stark reality that cannot be ignored. The ripple effects of such a conflict would be felt far beyond the immediate region, impacting global security and stability. Section 5. The Spectre of Global Terror: Unintended Consequences. A military strike against Iran carries the very real risk of igniting a global wave of terror. The repercussions of such an action could be far-reaching and devastating, affecting not just the immediate region, but the entire world. Iran's extensive network of proxies and sympathizers spread across various continents could be activated to carry out retaliatory attacks against US interests and civilians. These groups, deeply embedded in different societies, have the capability to strike at a moment's notice. Soft targets, such as transportation hubs, tourist destinations, and public gatherings, could become prime targets for terrorist attacks. The ease of access and the high concentration of people make these locations particularly vulnerable. The potential for widespread fear and disruption to daily life would be significant. Everyday activities could be overshadowed by the constant threat of an attack, leading to a pervasive sense of insecurity. The psychological impact of such attacks, designed to instill fear and erode public support for US actions, would be profound. The emotional toll on survivors and the general populace would be immense, creating a climate of fear and uncertainty. The global nature of the terrorist threat means that no country would be immune from potential attacks. The interconnectedness of our world today means that the ripple effects of terrorism can spread quickly and unpredictably. US allies, particularly those in Europe and Asia, could face an increased risk of terrorism on their soil. The solidarity with the US could make these nations targets, further complicating international relations. The potential for strained alliances and a breakdown in international cooperation is a significant concern. Diplomatic efforts could be hampered, and the unity of global coalitions could be tested. The unintended consequences of a US military strike against Iran, particularly the potential for a global surge in terrorism, are far too dangerous to ignore. The strategic calculations must consider these broader implications. The human cost, both in terms of lives lost and the erosion of freedom and security, would be immeasurable. The grief and loss experienced by families and communities would be profound and long-lasting. The world would be a far more dangerous place in the wake of such an attack. The escalation of violence and the spread of fear would create a more unstable and unpredictable global environment.